This Ignite Your Business Brand DNA online program is copyrighted by Brand Ascension LLC Consulting and Training. All rights reserved, and any unauthorized duplication of this program is strictly prohibited. Hey there, guys. I am excited that you're ready to continue the integration of your unique brand DNA into your business. Congratulations to all of you who are Brand DNA graduates, and welcome everyone to Brand Speak. Learn how to talk your brand walk, a special program designed exclusively for the Ignite Your Business Brand DNA graduate. My name is Suzanne Tulane, principal and founder and brand clarity expert, author, and international speaker of Brand Ascension. And I want to acknowledge and appreciate your time and your commitment for continuing to integrate your brand DNA into your environment with these enhanced programs to guide you step by step on the process of operationalizing your brand. This program will enlighten you on the importance of words and vocabulary, as well as consistency as it relates to you daily in your operation at every single touch point with your customers and your employees. And as usual, with all my programs, I will provide you with a practical and powerful exercise for you and your team to dig into the development of your own vocabulary and use it immediately within every facet of your business. So let's get started. I want to quickly review some concepts and statistics presented in our Ignite Your Business Brand DNA series to help set the stage for today's session. We remember in Module 1 of Ignite Your Business Brand DNA that research shows that small businesses in America spend about $60 billion annually in marketing. And we know that marketing is the process of communicating our brand's message, right? So what's the big deal? Well, we business owners are spending a lot in external advertising messages that, in order for them to really work, they have to cut through the clutter of everything else we are inundated with on a daily basis. So the question becomes, how do we communicate our brand's promise in a powerful, distinctive way so that the potential customer will pay attention and get inspired to believe in what we're offering prior to their actual experience with us? Then, as we learned in the DNA course, it is our job as the brand to be true to how we really show up in our behaviors. So let's remind ourselves of the level of clutter the average American must sift through. Here is a quick poll. How many messages does the average American receive daily? Go ahead and just talk amongst yourselves and try to guess what that might be. If you take a look at these options, A, 17,000, over 17,000, B, 30,000, C, 6,500, or D, 57,000. The answer, believe it or not, is an estimated 30,000 messages a day. So at the same time, as business owners, we're spending money in marketing and advertising. And as consumers, we are receiving an estimated 30,000 messages per day. So how do we receive those messages? Through the senses. So we are constantly being bombarded by messaging through our eyes with print ads and billboards, our ears with radio, TV, and networking, our mouths with taste, aromas, and through our noses and textures through our ability to feel, right? So this stat really illustrates how difficult it actually can be to cut through the message clutter for both you, the advertiser, and for the consumer. Well, a great way to assist you in working smarter in your internal and external messaging is by delivering your brand's message in a highly unique, clear, and consistent way, but relevant to your audience and to your brand DNA. So let's take a look at why building a unique brand vocabulary is an important tool in building and operationalizing your brand as any other tool in your toolbox. Because let's remember, being conscious about your brand is the key to managing it effectively. Always put yourself in your customer's shoes and experience your business through all their senses, their eyes, their ears, nose, etc. I want you to be conscious that your current and future brand messages, such as your advertising and promotion pieces and brand standards, which are your levels of performance, and your behaviors are congruent with the experience and perception you're trying to create for the customer and your employees. So this is what I call conscious branding. And that is understanding that every single thing you do in your business contributes to or can take away from the perceptions others have of your brand. So as business owners and employees, why not take inventory of all these tools we have in our toolbox? Words and vocabulary being one of them, to tell our brand story and clearly and succinctly as possible. So I'm sure you agree with that. So awesome, let's keep going. Now let's get to the obvious question on the table and let's clarify it. Why define a brand vocabulary for my business? Well, first of all, it is a distinctive and rich supply of expressive means or words to communicate your brand. Number two, it creates unity and collaboration for you and your employees because you share a common comprehension in a familiar environment. Three, words are tools to create a distinctive culture to be understood in a certain way. And also it defines your unique brand through your culture, your leadership, and your business processes and practices. And finally, it reinforces your brand's attitude in a language that is consistent, relevant, and distinctive. So I bet you can agree that these are pretty wonderful and powerful reasons to consider getting more conscious with your brand's vocabulary. How many of you have heard the phrase, talk is cheap? So it's important to remember that this course is not just to provide you ways to communicate your brand more clearly and relevantly, it is to enhance the experience of the employee and customer because your chosen brand vocabulary will support the behaviors you're putting in place that are congruent with your unique brand, right? So the words we say will teach if we practice what we preach. The information you glean from this course will not help you build your brand unless your brand actions are supportive of what and how you say your brand represents. So I'm sure we can all agree with that, right? So that's a huge reason why we need to really practice what we preach. I bet some of you remember this old saying, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me, right? Words create impressions, mind images, and expectations. They build psychological connections. They influence how we think, and since thoughts determine actions, there's a powerful connection between the words we use and the results we actually get. So, how many of you have been inspired by words, maybe from a poem, an article, or even a song? Well, of course, we all have experienced deep emotional connections to what are really nothing more than just words. So, are you getting how powerful these words can be? The Ritz-Carlton, known for their elegance, consistency, and outstanding treatment of their guests, have paid close attention to their words and vocabulary within their brand delivery and experience. Because their brand platform is ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. They have actually set the stage for a powerful, upscaled, sophisticated environment. Can you imagine a member of their staff responding to a patron with that phrase, I'm sure is very common with many of you, that phrase, no problem, right? Absolutely not. You know, I always want to respond with that answer, no problem, with, of course it's no problem. It's your job, right? So instead, the Ritz-Carlton employees are trained to respond with, my pleasure, a much better fit of vocabulary to reaffirm the overall elegance and sophistication this brand experience occurs that they're trying to actually purposefully, consciously create. So let's take another look at the differences of perception words can have in our minds. Try these words, problem versus challenge. Would you rather a boss see your mistake as a problem or a challenge? It's more than semantics. Problems are fixed. Challenges are dealt with and met. Different words evoke different feelings. Do you have a more positive frame of mind meeting a challenge or fixing a problem? Here's another example. Spend versus invest. Are your customers and clients wanting to spend or invest money with you? As we've all experienced on the conscious and subconscious levels, poorly chosen words can kill enthusiasm, impact self-esteem, lower expectations, and hold people back. Well-chosen words can motivate, offer hope, create vision, impact thinking, and alter results. We've learned how words have power over your thoughts and actions. They also impact and influence people we speak them to. And when we are highly conscious of the words we choose and how they relate to our brand, we are systematically creating a congruent brand story that is affirmed over and over in our employees' and customer minds. If you want to be within the context of your brand, learn to harness your word power to work for, not against you. Select words that create a visual of the actual desired outcome for the brand experience, and choose each word as if it mattered as much as your brand does to you. You might be surprised how much it does. Want better results? Check your words. So let's take a look at the differences in how we can actually perceive the meanings of words we hear. There are two types of definitions, denotative and connotative. Let's take a look at the difference. In terms of this program, a denotative definition of a word is very much like a straightforward Webster's dictionary definition, without any descriptive terms that further define the meaning according to the situation the word is used. Now, connotation, let's take a look at that. This really means, in terms of this program, that the connotative meaning of a word is determined by the perceptual descriptions that support the word and the environment the word is used in. So let's take a look at another example to get even clearer. This example should solidify this concept in your brains. Again, notice the basic denotative definition of a dog, and then read the connotative definition, which includes a person's own take. So denotative is a domesticated carnivorous four-legged mammal related to the foxes and wolves and raised in a wide variety of breeds. Now, the connotative definition includes a person's own take or perception of a dog, usually their own or one they know. They've made that term their own, reduced it from the broader, unspecific category above, and added specific details that further define the meaning of a dog to them in their world. Like, dog to me means an 83-pound taupe-colored short-haired mammal named Sierra who loves to eat, sleep, fish, and hike, and then eat again. So when we ask you in the Brand DNA course to define your value and style attributes according to how those terms fit into your own unique brand DNA and are actioned by your unique brand's behaviors, this is exactly what we mean. So you're forming connotative perceptions around these attributes that you chose within your specific brand DNA, and then giving the meaning of them through your behaviors and actions, and thus creatively and subtly managing the customer's perception of what, for example, the value of, say, integrity as a core value might mean to your brand versus somebody else's. I hope this is making sense. So now let's take a look at some brands who have successfully created and implemented brand vocabulary to further enhance the perceptions of their particular brands. Here's just a few examples of some brands that have taken the time to define their own unique vocabulary to create a specific culture and customer experience. Let's go back a ways to the amazing Coco Chanel brand. She quickly developed a clear set of only 22 words to define how her couture was designed and developed. What these words did for her brand was an amazing thing. It helped her and her designers keep to a very specific and highly distinctive style that she became known for. Staying true to her brand started with a very simple, well-chosen set of words. So how many of you like Starbucks? All right. So what are some of the unique terms and vocabulary that Starbucks uses that you can think of? You know, I'm sure you're probably thinking of a few. So Starbucks takes their culture very seriously, and it starts with the training of their partners, not employees. So they use partners instead of the word employees. So think for a moment how the word partner versus employee differs in how an employee feels about their stake in the brand. Starbucks has gone to great lengths to actually develop their training around what they've termed the Starbucks experience, and created a program called Beanstalk for their partners. Their partners, remember, not their employees, to become investors in the brand. And as consumers, I think we all now understand what a Frappuccino is, right? And finally, Southwest Airlines, is also just this great brand that considers their people and culture central to their particular brand culture. President and COO Colleen Barrett had developed a glossary of terms that reflect their brand to be used in every type of internal and external communications for the brand. Now, does that give you a better sense of the learning points of this program and how it relates to implementing your own brand DNA? Hopefully it does. So let's continue. I want to go a little deeper here with that Starbucks way of being and utilizing their brand vocabulary to solidify this point and how they descriptively express their brands. So here's a great example of one of their ads describing their Verona blend. I mean, when you really take a look at this and read through it, what are some of the operative terms in these paragraphs that create imagery and romance around their coffee experience, particularly in the first two paragraphs? Here's the word sweet intensity, seductive blend, gentle touch, lending depth, soul, and sweetness. Also, delectable combination. I mean, these words truly reflect the Starbucks brand, creating inspiration in the minds of the customer. Now, let's see what you're thinking. I'm sure the cogwheels are beginning to churn following these examples. We want you to think of all the ways you can begin leveraging your brand vocabulary within your business to uniquely express your brand. Think about all the facets of your business, your culture, your processes, your client contact, all touch points, and get as specific and detailed in your ideas as possible. So when we think about advertising. What about your employee memos, your correspondence, email signatures, jingles, brand identity statements, website, press releases, voicemail messaging, proposals, employee handbooks, and so much more, right? Take a look at how many ways you can actually begin consciously using and leveraging your unique brand vocabulary. You are definitely thinking holistically about your brand and how it communicates its message when you see all these facets. So we hope you're feeling anxious to get started. Here, I will show you an example of a Brand DNA client brand vocabulary list. This example was created by fleshing out related terms from this client's brand value attributes. Take a look at excellence and how the words underneath it support their vision and understanding of what excellence means within their unique environment. Now, for the value attribute called people, came to life when these words were fleshed out, helping to once again better define what they mean by valuing people in their core DNA. And here's two other values that they define within their DNA that you can review: profitability and innovation. Notice how these additional vocabulary words help define their approach to their values. With this list, they are creating a highly structured cultural speak that will permeate throughout all of their communication pieces, both internally and externally. In this next slide, I want you to begin thinking more about how you will begin to actually utilize your new brand vocabulary in your everyday business environment, and hopefully begin experiencing the impact of consistent, relevant, and distinctive words and how they can be utilized as powerful cultural tools to elevate the perceptions and behaviors of not only your team, but your customers too. So here we have some challenges for you to consider when it comes to putting your vocabulary to work for your team at the internal level, but it is ultimately impacting your listener or customer as well. So let's take a look at the few questions and examples below. Take, for example, this question: what consistent brand relevant language will you use to answer your phone? Using some of the words from the previous client example, here's how they set up their phone message. Hi, welcome to such and such, your local partner and leader in media innovation. This is Shelley. How can I help you? Secondly, think about how you can create a consistent response when a customer presents a complaint or an issue that would actually reflect how your brand approaches this scenario. Notice how their response sets the tone for how their brand values people, excellence, and confidence. As your local media provider, we are passionate about your success and determined to get clear on your needs. So these are two simple yet very creative compositions that add to the affirmation of the customer's brand experience. I hope this is making sense to all of you watching this. I'm sure you're thinking now of all the ways that you can begin implementing this vocabulary tool into your daily operations. So what questions might you have about this process? Go ahead and send me an email if you've got any questions regarding this process. So how do you get started? Here we go. You start with your unique brand DNA. So print out several copies if you're working with a team. Take your style attributes, review the definitions for each, and begin brainstorming other words that speak to and support those definitions. Then you decide on at least 5, but no more than 10 words that you brainstorm per attribute to become a part of your new company brand vocabulary representing those attributes. Then take your value attributes, review each of those definitions as well, and begin brainstorming other words that speak to and support those definitions. Decide on at least 5, but no more than 8 to 10 that you brainstorm per attribute to begin to become a part of your new company brand vocabulary. Okay, great. So this is an activity. It should be in your workbook, and get to work on that so you have a whole plethora of new words that you can begin using that stay in the lane of your particular unique brand DNA. Now, I want to give you and your team a brand challenge to be worked on and completed to further refine and leverage your unique brand vocabulary. Take a look at these specific customer touchpoint areas, which will be listed in your assignment download. Gather several of your employees and break them up into teams. Ask each employee to compose a dialogue that represents and actually responds congruently with your values and style and utilizes your brand vocabulary. This is a great opportunity for your teams to share in a brainstorming session, pull from other resources that you might have available, and seek out best practices from other known dialogues, like maybe other companies, other vendors that you've maybe experienced as a consumer. Make this fun and super creative. This is your chance to begin shaping your culture through the use of one of your most powerful tools, words. Again, as we mentioned before, words are powerful. However, your actions and congruent words are exponential in their ability to affirm your brand in both your employee and customer minds, as well as increase the equity of trust through consistent speak and actions. So take a look at this thought-provoking statement. Watch your thoughts, for they become words. Watch your words, for they become actions. Watch your actions, for they become habits. And watch your habits, for they become character. And watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. Wow, that gets pretty deep, but it means so much, and it's so relevant to this learning point. And finally, if you want to see other ways that you can continue as brand masters leveraging your unique brand DNA, then let's take a look at some of these other programs. We have these other brand DNA graduate programs to help facilitate the usage and making tangible of your brand DNA, okay? So one is called Building Brand Excellence, which involves tightening your brand standards to optimize your business performance. Another one is infusing your differentiators into your sales processes, your website, and your communications that you might have with your customers. And if you're preparing to hire, consider how you'll go about getting the right people on the bus. And you can take a look at our Branded for Hire program. Creates a real structured interview process to hire best fit candidates for your brand. And finally, our Make Your Brand Make Sense. This is a multi-sensorial webinar that trains you how to create an environment using all the senses that keeps your customers talking about you, very memorable and coming back for more. Awesome. I highly recommend mapping out specific dedicated time each week or so where you and your teams can work on the business brand and incrementally build your brand at the internal level and ultimately your bottom line. The following is a series of questions I've received from my live facilitated sessions, and I thought it might be beneficial for you to hear some of my answers to these questions really quick. So first, is there a limit to how many words we develop in our brand vocabulary? Yes, I recommend not more than 5 to 7 words per attribute. This way you're able to keep the vocabulary focused and honed in on on the specific essence of that particular attribute. Identifying more words than what we recommend, you'll risk diluting the whole concept and feel. It is also important that you use the words that you develop frequently enough that they become memorable and are used within your own staff's regular dialogue. And your customers then become familiar with your speak and begin to mirror it back to you, which is kind of amazing. You know that you're doing a great job when they do that. So thanks for that question. Question number 2, do you recommend making up or coining a word or two? Yeah, that's a fabulous idea. Those types of words that are made up from 2 other words or so are highly effective when they are positioned within a detailed context. Remember the Starbucks Frappuccino word? Coining a word is very powerful when it's done right with consistency. And your customers will have fun learning the meanings and using the terms themselves when speaking about your brand. So that's another great question. And number 3, do we need to define each of these new vocabulary words we identify? That's a great question, and I'll answer it 2 different ways. First, it is not absolutely necessary to define those terms as well, and they are meant to actually fall under the definition of your respective value and style attribute definitions. However, the second part of this answer is yes, if you have identified and coined a word or term that needs clarification to its new meaning in your brand's vocabulary. This is for the benefit of not only your customers, but your employees. It may be fun to have this challenge to create a new brand glossary for your own brand and use it for new hires and team building activities and other ways to educate on brand. So have fun with this again, and you'll be surprised at the power that your brand words will have over a period of time in your culture with your employees and your customers. So now it's time for all of you to begin your challenge in developing your own unique brand vocabulary. Again, a big thank you and congratulations to each of you who are listening to this and wanting to dig deeper into your own brand's DNA. You're now on the road to creating a powerful brand infrastructure for the elevation of your brand. So utilize the work and the knowledge that you gleaned today and start operationalizing it within every single touch point. Stay conscious. Continue your brand building education. Join our Brand DNA graduate group on LinkedIn and refer your business owner friends to this powerful course as well. We would totally appreciate that. I appreciate your commitment and attention to building your brand and look forward to hearing about your successes. I want to stay in touch with you and assist you as needed in continuing this brand building process for yourself. With that said, I look forward to seeing you guys next time, and hopefully you continue this process and become your own brand ambassadors and masters. So I do this because your brand is your business and your success is my success. Thank you so much.